Welcome back to our second segment with Lee.
Hey there.
And we're going to dive into a little more of the nuances of having a nanny in your home.
Okay. Yes.
So we've finally come across and made the decision to ask for help, which is okay and a good thing.
Yes.
We've made the decision. We've got someone coming, and we're going to have someone in our home now that's a stranger at first, but they're going to become part of the family.
Yes.
And you put any two human beings together, they're going to have differences and similarities.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about how you help, first of all, in your selection process,
Sure.
matching up families with the nanny, and then how they are taught by you to incorporate themselves into that home, into the discipline process,
Sure.
into just the family dynamics that they already have that they want to keep.
Yes.
And maybe the nannies have been trained in a certain way or have a certain style, and how they blend that together.
Sure. So I think one thing that really helps is from the beginning, where I think I mentioned before on the last segment, that we always are asking the family how they communicate and also how the nanny communicates, which is going to be extremely helpful. We also create profiles on each of our nannies from all of the information that we've gathered from them. And there's two sections on there, and there's childcare philosophies and discipline styles. So parents are going to know up front what their childcare philosophies are and what their discipline styles are. Wow. So that is super helpful to know when you're going into an interview, because you can already know what that is and then touch on that, right? So we're all human. Everyone has differences. There is not one single right way to raise children, right? There are so many different ways, and that's what makes our world beautiful, right? So it's really just about learning your nanny and allowing the nanny to come in a little bit deeper to your family, right? So you kind of have to open up a little bit in this process. Yes. I always recommend during the interview process when you're, speaking with the nannies, this is not just, let me ask you this, this, and this. Oh, your resume looks good. This is a feeling.
Right.
This is you know in your gut when you meet the right nanny. It's actually really neat. I always tell this to parents. They're like, yeah, sure. And then this is it,
right. Just like that one.
Yeah, it's the one, right? So once you kind of have that, it's like I always suggest not once the nanny has started, but before the nanny has started, write down all of your desires, everything that you need, all of your expectations. We provide a contract for families. So we'll take the time, depending on what type of placement it is, and tailor a contract for the family and the nannies so that everything's written out, from discipline to household chores, what time the children are supposed to be picked up from school, or if they're allowed to leave the house, or if they can go on play dates, or all of that is in there.
So there's never a question.
Absolutely. And keep that in a visible place.
Right.
I mean, you could even have it on your refrigerator just so that, sometimes people forget things, and it's a lot. So just then the family and the nanny can go back and just kind of look at the contract. And it also has paid holidays, right? It has, so which holidays that are paid, how many vacation days, your hours, if you're expected to work maybe 1 weekend a month. All of that is in there. Pay rate, bonuses, all of that is in there, so that there's no question.
Right.
And all of that is really important to talk about, again, in the interview process and not once they've started.
Right. Yes.
Which unfortunately people get excited and they're like, oh, can you start tomorrow?
Yes.
And be patient.
Which I would imagine would result in, if you don't do this the right way, it results in, having a nanny didn't work for me.
Right. So many people feel that way. I promise you it can work. And I love helping people with communication just because, again, I've had so much opportunity learning about communication, what to do and what not to do through experience myself as a nanny. And so, in fact, I just helped this mom. If you find a nanny on your own, but you don't feel comfortable screening them, we can do that.
Okay.
So that's something that we offer. And I just did that with a family. And it was so interesting because they wanted me to be uber honest about everything. You know, I pick up on red flags pretty quickly. And I could just tell that this person was very sweet. She could be a decent caregiver, but her communications skills probably weren't going to be the greatest. So I told them that if they loved this person, that I can help make it work.
Right.
But they're both the nanny and the family are going to have to really listen.
Right.
And so one of the small tips that any family can use is have a binder at the house. So if a nanny's not that great, or if a family's super busy, right, which most families are, have a notebook and make it clear at the beginning that when you're writing in this notebook, it's not because you don't care about talking in person, right? It's just because everyone's busy.
Right.
One of the things I encourage families to do to communicate is to have a notebook. And so the nanny can write down, you know, when the child ate, when the child went to the bathroom, if they went out on a play date, if, you know, maybe the child was more cranky than normal, different things like that. And then the parents can write a note like, hey, you know, sorry to get graphic, but they didn't have a booby diaper today. So, like, tomorrow, can you, if they don't, please let us know. Like, just little things like that. So that there's no miscommunication, right? Now, if there's big things, like, you know, maybe the nanny forgot to ask if they could go on a play date. And a parent has asked, please let us know when you leave the home. Right. Talk about that in person. Don't write that down. Right. These are face-to-face conversations to have. One thing that I always suggest is once the nanny is hired, you can have monthly meetings. So then having that communication isn't scary. Right? So it's just like in any job, you have reviews.
Yeah, and everyone is going to mess up at some point.
100%. So that's the other thing I always recommend, because parents obviously have high expectations for their nannies, which is fine, because nannies, they should be doing a good job. Right. But to also have grace. And so then when it's time to have these conversations, don't let them well up. Right. Don't let, like, I mean, we truly have situations as something wasn't shined the proper way, or the dishwasher wasn't unloaded the proper way. Those are not make it or break it things. Right. Those are things that just, hey, you know, could you use this dishwasher detergent instead? Or could you use this laundry detergent instead next time? Those are simple, not make it or break it things. If there are make it or break it things, we're fine with helping, sitting down with the families and helping work it through. Yeah. But contracts, communication, having a notebook, actually having a phone call. Text is not my favorite way of communicating. There's so many miscommunications. I know, right? It's okay. Some people are fine with it. But I feel like there's more miscommunication through text than not. And so if you have the opportunity, even if it's just, you know, every Friday, you prepare for the next week and you take 10 minutes to talk with the family. Or there's so many ways to do this. Yeah. There's not one right way. But
all of that, trying to stop problems before they start.
Yes.
And to keep everyone happy. So you want your nanny happy. You want them to stay. You don't want to be turning over a nanny every 6 months because there was just bad communication. Sure. Because you're not going to allow someone that is not a good person in their home. Right. So that's not the issue. Exactly. It could just be an issue of communication. So the more you handle it in the front end, which is why you exist. Yes. Because your service is there for that reason. Then the better chance you have of having a very long-term, good relationship with your nanny and them wanting to stay in your household. 100%. Because if they're not happy, they know there's another family out there that wants them very badly that will take good care of them.
And that's the thing. I think nannies, when you take care of them, they want to help you no matter what, right? It's part of who they are. It's how they were created. But when you're taking care of them, when you're doing guaranteed hours is something we always recommend. If you're going out of town, still pay them. They need to know what to expect, right? Some families that don't do that, unfortunately, lose out long term. Right. But if you take care of them with benefits like that, they are going to be your favorite addition to the family, because they will go above and beyond, do everything that you need. And just make your life easier. And then you don't, just like you mentioned, you won't have high turnover. Right. There are nannies that truly desire to be with families for years to come. And most of the nannies that I am friends with, that I work with, we get emotional when it's time to leave a position. Yeah. We become attached. I still nanny 2 days a week. I don't know if I'll ever not nanny because I love kids. Yes. And it gives me this different I'll always have a different view when I'm interviewing nannies, right?
Because you're still in the mix.
Yes, yes. So
you know what it looks like from the other side.
Yes. So we get emotional about leaving, and we don't want to leave. I mean, even I tell you, the little one I watch, she had her 3rd birthday yesterday.
Oh, how sweet!
I was so silly, I almost cried. She's not even my child, but this is how we are. Right. We joke like we call them our kids. Yes, it's a thing. Yeah. And if you take care of nannies, they will take care of your children and really help you be an extension of the help be an extension of the family and really help raise your children the way that you want, which is
with less stress.
With less stress. Yes.
That's the goal. Yes. Trying to get all of my clients less stressful.
Yes.
So that's some of the dynamics of how all of the process works. So now let's get into some other topics still in the realm of care. Sure. So you've been in many homes.
I have been in a lot of homes.
You have taken care of many children.
Yes.
You have been responsible for people taking care of many children.
Yes.
And dealing with different families. So you must have learned a lot about child rearing.
Sure. Yes.
And discipline and seeing how philosophies play out differently. Some being successful, some being not so successful. And you know you're going to have more of a job to do in that home. So let's just pick a few topics to help our moms and dads.
Sure.
Like for me with the body, I'm like, don't do this, this, and this. All those things are bad for your body. So let's start out with that. Let's start with a few things that you've seen in some households. You're like, we shouldn't do that.
Right.
It's just not good for anyone.
Right.
You know, what are some of those things you can think of?
I think the number one issue with families that have nannies in the home, what happens is children are obviously, which is a good thing, attached to their parents. You want to make it clear that when the nanny comes in, they are in charge. What happens so many times in countless situations is the family, maybe the family works from home, or maybe the parents have the day off and they're around. It needs to be very clear that the nanny's in charge. Because what happens is, I feel like it's like a storm. You know, it's so funny, children will perform better around their nannies. They'll be on better behavior, they'll eat better food, they will throw less temper tantrums, they really truly have their listening ears on, and then parents come in and I feel like they just fall on the floor, they have these big meltdowns. I'm like, what is going on? But I think that it's very helpful if from the beginning, you know, this is your nanny, they're a part of our family, she is safe, and we also hire mannies. So mannies, men and women. Yes, he or she, they are a safe place to be, and they are in charge, and what they say goes. I think that's very helpful. I think if parents are home, be sneaky. Try to stay in a different part of the home and make yourself not seen. If you do work from home, I highly suggest having maybe, you know those beautiful barn doors they close. Like even if you can separate the house somehow, just to make it clear that this is the office, this is our space, and at 5 o'clock when we come out, we are all yours. Right. But 8 to 4:45. This is my space. Right. Lunchtime, maybe send a text to the nanny and say, hey, I'm coming out. Yeah. And then the nanny can take the kids in the back, and they don't even know mom and dad came out for lunch. Right. So I think that's been one of the biggest concerns in the nanny community is that balance, right? And so that's definitely something that I have seen is if, and I know that you guys love your children, but giving in will not... watch me get some emails from this. Giving in to your children will not make them healthy adults. Right. So it's okay for children to cry. It's okay for them not to get what they want. And it helps them be better people in society, right? It helps them grow up, and it also helps the nanny too, because nannies tend to be, of course, when my little ones give me their eyes, sometimes I give in. I can't help it. But it's better to just, when you say no, they need to know that this is not an option. Right. Which I think a lot of times is where a nanny would be so helpful, because as parents, we do get to the end of our rope. Yes.
So if we have someone there to help take some of that stress off of the daily, just normal things,
Sure.
we can have more attention to detail with following through with discipline. We're not at the end of our rope because some of the nanny has taken care of some of the daily aspects of living. So we have actually a better rapport with our children because we're not so stressed out with the daily goings on of the home. So that's a good word of advice. What, in your opinion, this is a very hot topic. Raising children is one of those topics that can divide friends.
Right, it can.
I mean, it really is. Politics, religion, and child rearing.
Yep.
I don't know which one is more divisive. But one of the things that I see a lot of, because I hear a lot with what I do with body work and massage, the power of touch is amazing, and people share things with you. Sure. Or I can just tell by what they say some things that are going on. And something I have never been a fan of, but something that I see happening a lot more of in today's society is co-sleeping with infants that lasts for years.
Yes.
And I think it starts at a good place because you want to build a bond with your child. You want to spend time with them. There's that parent guilt. If you do work all day or you work out of town, you have them in the bed. I understand the idea of it. But I also know the fact that we are losing sleep as the mom and dad. We are losing a connection as a couple that's together if you're with someone. So what have you seen? What are your opinions of that playing out in the homes that you're in?
Sure. Obviously, I have my opinions. Everyone is allowed their opinions.
Absolutely, 100%.
My way is not the right way per se. Yeah. But I would say that unfortunately, I feel like we're raising a society of codependent children.
Right.
And it's unhealthy.
Yes.
And so if, obviously, it is suggested up until 1 year that the child sleeps in your room. It doesn't have to, not necessarily in your bed, but like have your crib or whatever you choose to keep your child in. Have that in your room. That's fine. But beyond 1 year, when I understand. I love snuggles just as much as everyone else. But it creates this codependency, and it creates this when people do from the outside of the home come in, and they're supposed to be there to help you take stress off of you by letting you go on a date night.
Right.
Or, I know families that have not gone on a date in over a year because their children lose it when people come over. So it creates this codependency and attachment. I've helped children over the last few years, help them walk through attachment issues. But it starts young. And so if you have the ability to just, when they're one, everyone, again, this is just my opinion, but there's so many ways to do these things. But, yes, keep your child in your room till they're one, but maybe not in your bed.
Right.
And also, it makes me so nervous suffocating a child. Yes. It's a real thing. SIDS happens even when they're alone. We have the owlet, or the owl. It's a device that you put on the infant's foot, which makes sure that they're breathing, and you can tell their heart rate and all of that. I highly suggest those. But sleeping with a child, it just makes me so nervous, and it's just. I think it can cause more harm than good, even when they're old enough to roll over on their own. Right.
And that would even go back to the, tell me the name of the caregiver for the infant again.
Oh, newborn care specialist.
The newborn care specialist. Yes. So that could even be something you could implement to help you not do that. If you think you're going to be prone to do that, it could actually be someone that helps keep you in line as the new mom, because we do worry and we want to do everything and we want to be that superhero and and if we're working and trying to be a new mom, it's just a lot. So having that newborn care specialist could be that person that would, okay, you've decided this is what you want to do. Let me help you stay on track.
I think you're so right with that. I think I'm not a newborn care specialist. There's trainings and different things like that.
Absolutely.
But I do night nanny, and I have cared for children as young as 2 days old. And I can tell you right now that I am not a mother, and I cannot sleep. because it scares the daylights out of me to think I'm listening for their breathing. I'm making sure that there's, it is scary. Mm-hmm. So with me, I'm not the mother. Mm-hmm. And that worried. Right. I cannot imagine what mothers and fathers feel. Mm-hmm. Of course they're zombies during the week. Of course they are. Yeah. So I think it's definitely important if you can utilize a newborn care specialist mm-hmm. or a night nanny. Again, mm-hmm. there's different levels, and if anyone ever wants to know the details about those, right. I'm happy to chat with you about that. Yeah. But it's so true. I mean, I remember when I was first starting night nannying, I had someone coaching me, and I kept telling her, I was like, what if I fall asleep and I don't hear anything? She was like, I promise you won't. And I'm like, sure. And I just can't. I'll do like the light sleeping, but I hear everything. Yeah. And then I'm a zombie the next day. But that's okay because I chose to do that, right? And that's what it's actually one of my favorite things to mm-hmm. do. But there are people out there that, and if you're breastfeeding mm-hmm. too, what's fantastic is the nanny can have an alarm on, and of course their phone is on. And so when the mom's breast milk is full, maybe, she sends the nanny a text. Mm-hmm. The nanny just brings the baby to her. She doesn't have to get out of bed. She mm-hmm. didn't have to get cold. She, and while the mother is nursing, then nanny can go grab a glass of water or right. a snack for her, right. or just, and then the nanny takes the baby, mm-hmm. burps, and changes the baby and puts the baby back to sleep. Yeah. So mama can relax.
Right. And I can see this being implemented in so many ways because I've had friends in the past that have had something traumatic happen during birth mm-hmm. or they've contracted a virus or sure. something while they were in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So they're actually leaving the hospital sick mm-hmm. or hurt, or if they had a bad delivery or complications sure. in their delivery. We're not talking nannies have to live in your house 24/7 for 5 years. Mm-mm. It could be, I can even imagine this being an awesome gift to give someone if they were open to it. Yes. A young family that had mm-hmm. a baby, there's some health concerns or a job situation mm-hmm. where they need some extra help. Having someone there vetted, mm-hmm. which yes. is most important.
So important.
There to help mm-hmm. and make this process, because I think that would help with postpartum depression. Yep. Because if that person's there utilized correctly, they help the family, the mom, the dad mm-hmm. function better, and they have a better outcome in that first year of having yes. a newborn. Because you have a lot of variables that can go on. If you have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy delivery, and you're home in that second day and everything's hunky-dory, that's awesome. Yes. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. Right. And there are many variables where I can totally see that newborn care specialist or the night nanny, yes, even for just a few weeks, a month, whatever they need.
And that's typically what happens. Mm-hmm. Usually it can be anywhere from 1 week to 6 months. Mm-hmm. This is not, I would say on average 2 to 3 months is the very norm mm-hmm. to have a night mm-hmm. nanny or newborn care specialist. Of course, there's doulas and right. all of that. Newborn care specialists, a lot of them are trained for to help moms through, more doulas, but there are some newborn care specialists that can help with postpartum depression mm-hmm. Or breastfeeding mm-hmm. techniques. I know that when I first started night nannying, I had moms crying because they couldn't breastfeed, right? Or they're breastfeeding their second child but didn't their first child, and they have this big guilt. Yeah. And so it's also like the support system mm-hmm. as well, mm-hmm. which is. It's nice for parents to have.
And I always go back to this with every single person I'm interviewing. Why do we think we need to go this alone? Right. If our car's messed up, I am not going to go to AutoZone and just buy a part and stick it in it. Yes. That's not my specialty. Right. So why do we try to do all of these things in life mm-hmm. and walk these avenues alone? Right. When there are people highly trained mm-hmm. that is their forte, that is yes. their passion, that can come in and help us. Mm-hmm. So I think it comes down to a pride issue sometimes. Sure. So we have to get to the point where we realize it's okay to ask mm-hmm. for help, because it is going to completely alter the pathway that our experience can take. Yep. Especially that newborn experience. Mm-hmm. It could go this way if we do a certain thing, or it will go this way if we do a certain thing. That's the takeaway I'm getting from this is let the people that are trained to do this come to you in your time of need and make that situation better. And I'm sure you have some awesome stories.
Yes.
Like some good examples of situations you've been in. Could you share maybe one of those with us?
Of course. I tell you, now are you saying just in newborn care or in general?
Oh, pick one. I'm sure there are many.
There's many, there are. I think, I feel blessed to be a part of this industry because I think we do, nannies, newborn care specialists, we have this innate desire to care for others. And so whether we have children or not, we have this motherhood spirit. And we were designed to take care of other people's children. And there's just it's something very special about that. Especially being able to do that, we're giving parents a break. And they're able to be better parents themselves. We have had a privilege with our company. Again, it's so interesting to think about all the clients we've had and the situations they've come from. I mean, we had this one mother who I love her to death. We still talk. We placed her, over almost 8 months ago, and she's still a part of our, our company family. So her son has a disability, and they were taking him to, I think it was New Hampshire to Ohio, and unfortunately he has seizures multiple times a day, and she couldn't do this on her own. She's a single mother. She's one of my heroes. Like, I love her to death. She adopted her son. I mean, he is the sweetest thing on earth. I love him to death. And they were going to New Hampshire to pick up their dog that detects his seizures. Okay. So it was 2 weeks of training that they were going to have to be away from home. The sweet little boy was going to be away from his safety net, right? His own home, his own comfort. And we were able to find someone that was perfect for this family, which this isn't a pat on the back. This is like, for ourselves, this is like, these are the golden moments that we just love, is this nanny was able to swoop in, and she was equipped and had the capacity to love and had the ability to have this patience to just swoop in. She's never met this family, fly in there, and just love on both of them, not just her child, but the mother as well, who felt alone and in a new place, a scary place, and she was able to support them. And they still talk. I got an email from the nanny the other day saying, can I have their address because I want to send them a gift? Let me ask them first, but I think that'll be fine.
Follow protocol.
Follow protocol first. But so it's just so special, and that mom has been a support. We talk every couple weeks, and it's wonderful. And we had a father who lost his wife, which is terrible. I can't even imagine. And to be able to be utilized in a situation where we were able to place a house manager, an extension of the family, to love on his children during this crisis. And she'll be there long term for many years. And she is phenomenal. And to know that we're able to help families like that, it's so special. Obviously there's some situations where there's families that they're just going on vacation. We have one nanny I've placed 5 times with Temp and Travel. She's one of my favorites. Hey Ashley, if you're watching this. But I mentioned she's in Turks and Caicos with the family right now. But this is not, what we do is not necessarily, of course we're a business, we make money, it's important. This is beyond making money. This is our passion. This is what we love to do. We love being a sounding board for parents who might need to cry it out. We have a lot of tears on the phone. And that's okay. We want it to be okay. We want to be a safe place for families of all cultures, all different backgrounds, that can just know that we're going to keep their children safe, and that we can be a sounding board for when they're having a tough time. And if we can't help, we are very connected all over the U.S. with amazing companies. We're connected with an incredible newborn care specialist company in Colorado, and we're able to have those resources. So we're huge on community. We know, just like we're telling you can't do everything alone. We know that. And so if we don't have an answer, we will find an answer for you.
Absolutely. So. Well, I can't think of any better tool to implement into a family to help it be more successful, to give it a better chance of being the happiest that it can be, being the most well-rounded that it can be, and the most enjoyable, because life is hard. Your work is hard and stressful, and they pull at you all day long. How awesome would it be to go home to a more manageable, encouraging, open environment 100%. Instead of more stress, more pulling at you, and having to deal with that as well. So I think we've had a lot of answers given to people that might have questions about what a nanny looks like, what it looks like to have one, how it is to implement one. Some great success stories that just warm my heart, and just, I mean, how would you not want that in your life? So again, your information will be in the description of the video, but any last words you have for our families about anything at all, just in making their home happier or incorporating anything you'd like to share with us?
Sure. No, I think just, you know, not to end on a super heavy note, but it's been on my heart to just, you know, the anxiety, depression, you know, some people weren't expecting having children, and now they have children. You're 40, you have a 1-year-old now. You were just taking off of your career.
I hear it a lot. With a lot. It really is a thing.
It is a thing, and I hear it all the time. And I just grace. Just have grace for yourself. And you know, if you need help finding a nanny, obviously we're here for you. If you want to find a nanny on your own, I'm happy to share tools with you to do that as well. But it's just our heart to not only keep children safe, but to make families' lives easier, so that, I mean, I just spoke with a mom the other day. She just wanted a date night. You know, I hear all the time that nannies actually have helped save people's marriages.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's so special is, you know, when you give yourself grace, when you allow yourself to have help, and then you go take care of yourself by going on a date night, or maybe you're not married, maybe you're a single parent, you need your own life to be saved, you know? You need to go out with the girls or the boys and just relax and take care of yourself and know that your children are safe. And I think that's so important. So I think that's what I would like to end with, is just that I get it. And
it's okay.
And it's okay.
Crazy, it's okay. And you are here to help.
Yes.
And it's okay to need that help, because we all do. We just sometimes hide it better than others. So I hope you'll take this information with you. If you have any questions at all, please contact Lee and let her assist you with just information, with a placement, whatever it is, and continue to be relentless in your happiness. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.